I am a textbook example of a casual Halo player. I like the series, and I have my fair share of fond memories with the games, but I'm not a veteran who knows a lot of the more in-depth details and facts about the franchise. Thanks to the Master Chief Collection, I've played Halo CE, 2, 3, and ODST. My first ever Halo game I played was Reach back when I was in school, and I've also played through Halo 4's mediocrity and whatever the hell Halo 5 was trying to achieve. Regarding the multiplayer side of things, I barely touched it outside of the once-in-a-blue-moon firefight match on Reach back in the day. Call of Duty was where I was focused on PvP things at that moment in time. Fast forward to today, where the latest entry in the series, that being Halo Infinite, seems to be making a comeback. Although I didn't keep up with the game as new seasons were introduced and new content was added, I did occasionally peek at the game through YouTube videos to see what the warfront was like over there. As to be expected during this time, there were a lot of videos covering Halo Infinite's downfall. It didn't concern me since I wasn't interested in Infinite at that time, but I did feel bad for the more hardcore Halo players who absolutely got served shit and was told to eat it by 343 at the beginning. Fast forward to early December of last year, and this was when I came across Bricky's video titled 88 Hours of Halo Infinite. I watched it, and afterward, I suddenly began to feel the urge to give this game a try. I was home for a solid month due to winter break from classes coming to an end for the fall semester, meaning I had access to my Xbox Series X again for a decent chunk of time. So, I went for it. I have finally played Halo Infinite, and let me tell you right here and now, I have been having an absolute blast doing so. As I stated at the start, back then I would only play Halo games for their campaigns outside of the occasional firefight match on Reach where it was all PvE. Not only was I more used to Call of Duty's multiplayer, but I was intimidated at how competitive and sweaty Halo's multiplayer seemed to be, especially in comparison to how casual and laid-back COD was. Ironic that I say that nowadays, given how sweaty modern-day Call of Duty's multiplayer is given the skill-based engagement-optimized matchmaking system in the casual playlists. In this case, though, this is Halo Infinite and not Call of Duty. So, outside of the ranked mode that this game has, there shouldn't be any kind of strict skill-based or engagement-optimized matchmaking in the casual playlists. Taking a glance at the history of Infinite's multiplayer, it was in a really rough spot for a long time. While the core gameplay of participating in matches was amazing, the surrounding aspects were either lacking or asinine in their implementation. Some of these aspects included barely any content when the full game launched, a challenge system that made earning XP way more of a pain in the ass than it needed to be with how specific those challenges were, an armor core customization system that made personalizing your Spartan damn near impossible outside of paying for skins, and there was no real sense of progression at launch, as there was no standard ranking system. I don't mean the ranked ranking system, I mean there was no general rank system at the start. Back then, aside from ranked play, you couldn't show how much time you had put into this game. Nowadays though, all of those problems are either entirely fixed or there are remedies in place / on the way. There's a ton of content to go after now, as all of the previous battle passes that Infinite has ever had are still here. Granted, in order to access those earlier battle passes, you do have to pay for them, but the fact that these old battle passes are even here to begin with is a godsend. Whoever made this decision to keep previous battle passes, if they still work at 343 and haven't already received a promotion for this call, they've earned it. Seriously, this does wonders for giving players a ton of things to work toward. Speaking of things to go after, regular ranks are now here as well. You start as a recruit, work your way through the ranks as you go from bronze to onyx, and then you're at the max rank of hero. As of this video, I am this rank. I'm going to be playing the game some more as I'm editing this, so I can't exactly say what rank I'll be until now. I have to ask, a regular ranking system is really odd to not have at launch. Where was it back then? Oh, let me guess, the UI made it too difficult to add initially. Customization has a remedy to it, as the armor core system is being slowly but surely worked on to allow for greater flexibility, allowing more mixing and matching of different armor parts and colors. Currently, all helmets are cross-core, and hopefully other parts of your Spartan being cross-core are in the cards as well. That being said, the vast majority of the cosmetics that will stand out to people will be found in the shop, which in this case doesn't bug me, since Infinite's multiplayer is free to play. It's not a situation like the past few COD games, for example, where there's a $70 or more depending on the version price tag plus an in-game store that charges upwards of $20+ for things. Since Infinite has no entry fee, it has to rely on other aspects in order to turn a profit. It also helps that these are direct cosmetics that you can see what you're buying, along with whatever you're buying not being pay to win. I also like how the game allows you to show off a little. Right before any multiplayer match, you get a preview of everyone on your team, including yourself. You get to see everyone's skins they have on, ranks, emblem, background, all of the things that people would want to show off in a game like this. Remaining on the note of customization, I also really like the personal AI that we're given when we play. Rather than it being just the announcer that gives commentary on things during the match, you have an AI companion that can give you commentary as well, congratulating you for a kill, alerting you that you've been revealed if you sprint while holding a flag, letting you know that power items are incoming, things like that.
Flame check. The flags? Ours? Oh no, the enemy carrier has revealed themselves. Enemy flag carrier spotted. The flag? Let's get the hell out of here. They know where we are. Good shooting, Spartan. Enemy flag carrier revealed. A good old-fashioned takedown. Ow! You nailed that shot. You're amazing, Spartan!
Shifting to the gameplay of each match, this game has such a buttery smooth and solid core gameplay loop. It is addictingly fun. Outside of the once-in-a-blue-moon lag spike, the connection in each match is perfect. The gunplay is really solid, emphasizing skill and mastery given how long the time to kill is in this game. You gotta punch through the enemy's shields first and then hit them a few more times to take them down. Since I wasn't familiar with the multiplayer of Halo Infinite, let alone the series as a whole, I will admit, I did go into this feeling just a tad bit intimidated. And while at the start, I was actually able to hold my own more frequently than I had first thought, I also got obliterated on more than one occasion. As I played the multiplayer more, this is when I began to feel more confident. I began to know the maps a bit better, which ones to stay for and which ones to immediately back out of, because holy shit, Construct Slayer can go die in a fire. I began to engage in firefights better. The classic assault rifle opener with the sidekick pistol finisher, or rather I should say the sidekick pistol opener with the assault rifle finisher. Seriously, the sidekick can decimate people. Or pumping the enemies full of lead and then punching them into the Shadow Realm. Finding a good hiding spot when I have something like the Gravity Hammer to wait for the enemy to come to me before I pound them into oblivion. And yes, I am aware of how sus that sounds, but I have no shame in saying that since I like it when I do some pounding. Anyway, let's talk about the weapons next. Halo Infinite has a decent range of them. The good jack-of-all-trades assault rifle, the sidekick pistol, which is really strong for a sidearm, the commando, like a futuristic Scar H, hard-hitting, lower ammo count, the burst rifle, great for medium-range engagements but struggles up close. Side note, I love the sound of the burst rifle firing in particular. Crisp and meaty. You also have the Bandit, a DMR-type weapon, which for some reason reminds me of Bandit Healer from the show Bluey. Best dad ever, by the way, no contest. Then the power weapons, like the Sniper, Energy Sword, Gravity Hammer, and the Rocket Launcher, aka the Spanker. I'm not kidding, that's what this thing is called. This rocket launcher is my personal favorite out of all the power weapons. Step 1, aim at the enemy. Step 2, fire. Step 3, profit at their violently unnecessary demise.
Double kill.
Part of why I was struggling more at the start was because I wasn't paying attention to the power weapons as much. I would just stick with the regular loadout and battle pickups. Of course, the power weapons weren't silver bullets, but I found that I was able to have a lot more enjoyable games when I got the chance to really dominate. The power weapons being as strong as they are is perfectly fine given that's the whole point. These are meant to be things that you fight over and are intentionally super powerful. They're also balanced out with low ammo counts so that way they're not prevalent for the entire game. You can also still easily die with them in your hands if you're not careful. Rushing out into the open with a gravity hammer or energy sword, missing your shot with the sniper or spanker, you can still get taken down easily if you're not careful, especially if the enemy knows the terrain better than you. Which, on the note of the maps in this game, I'm not a Halo PvP aficionado in any sense of the word, so I can only speak on behalf of what I've experienced through playing Infinite. From what I have played, the maps in this game are for the most part good. There are cases with maps like Construct that I mentioned earlier where the sightlines are long, and unless you're playing in objective mode, which gets people to crowd around at certain points on the map, it can be a slugfest of a round to get through. Big team battle games seem to have this issue as well, where if you happen to get Slayer, the game can be really slow to get through due to how defensively everyone plays since they don't have a reason to move to specific points on the map. When you do get an objective-based game mode that gives people a reason to move around, that is when Halo Infinite's multiplayer, both for the 12v12 and 4v4 playlists, really shines. All of this sounds amazing, doesn't it? Solid gameplay, lots of progression, plenty of modes to choose from, all of those ingredients and more are all combined to make a delicious multiplayer cake. Except this cake has been poisoned. Poisoned with what, you may ask? Halo Infinite's multiplayer has been poisoned with the thing that is killing casual PvP as we know it, skill-based / engagement-optimized matchmaking in the non-ranked casual playlists. I know that for some, it might be out of left field for me to be talking negatively about this system, as I am someone who would, in theory, benefit the most from it being in place. I'm an absolute rookie to Halo's multiplayer as a whole, therefore, I am the very person that this system is meant to protect, at least initially, while I gain my bearings. While yes, I am aware that I'm being shielded from super sweats who would seal club me, I'm also aware that my experience is being manipulated. To be clear, I've had frustrating games where I've gotten my ass handed to me even after getting more or less settled in with this game. I've also had matches where I'm carrying my team who apparently has a phobia of playing the f***ing objective and or a phobia of having a positive KD ratio. I've also had instances of having a really good game that is followed up with a really rough one and vice versa. I still feel the effects of the matchmaking system being in place, how it's manipulating my experience to intentionally put me up against easier or harder opponents to give me those highs and lows to take advantage of things like dopamine hits so that I stay on for as long as possible. I am aware of the matchmaking trickery, and yet, I can say that I've had more fun, or at the very least fair-feeling matches than rough ones. Despite this system being in place, I am still having a lot of fun. This is really strange to say. I can barely last 30 minutes of something like Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer. Meanwhile, I can play Infinite's multiplayer for 2 to 3 hours straight. Whatever the reason may be, even if I am having a net positive experience with Infinite's multiplayer, I still need to call this system out. Now, I can already hear the people typing in the comments about how I'm just looking to inflate my ego through pub stomping / seal clubbing and how I'm a big crybaby who can't handle the concept of people being better at a game than me and accusing me of not wanting things to be fair and even and all of this and that. My stance on matchmaking is the following. I do think there should be some kind of skill-based matchmaking in the casual non-ranked playlists, but it should be super relaxed and chill, not strict. This way, the protected bracket is still there for people who need it, but it also allows that melting pot bracket, as I like to call it, of varying degrees of skill. That way, it allows for those unpredictable matches where you don't know what you're getting, rather than being able to predict whether the next game is going to be a good or rough one. It incentivizes pushes players to get better at the game so they can take that skill and show it off to the lesser skilled players, which in turn causes those lesser skilled players to want to get better so they can be the ones to show off, and that cycle begins anew. And it allows for a truly casual experience where there's no expectations of needing to treat the match like it's ranked. Of course, you're still going to have sweaty and rough matches with a matchmaking system like this, but at least it's only a possibility and not a guarantee. Strict skill-based matchmaking does belong in ranked play since you have something to go after there, a rank that reflects your skill. Instead of tougher opponents being a punishment for getting better at the game, they serve as obstacles to beat for that next reward. Tougher players aren't rewards in this case, obviously, but they're not punishments either. As for engagement-optimized matchmaking, this has got to go. Having your experience manipulated to where it's almost as if you have no control over how the match will go, as if the outcome is predetermined, makes any game that has this matchmaking system feel artificial. This form of matchmaking takes advantage of how the human brain functions, relying on dopamine hits for whenever you have a great game, for instance, to keep you playing for longer, so the retention numbers for those at the top look good. People have written papers and conducted studies about this. That's how deep the rabbit hole goes. This system does work for people so long as they aren't aware of it. Once you realize it's there, and once you start to see how your matches are being manipulated, it's all over. You can't ever unsee it. Hopefully, like with loot boxes, it's only a matter of time before the legality of this kind of thing is brought into question due to how it takes advantage of the human brain. In short, this trend of asinine implementations of skill-based matchmaking and casual non-ranked playlists has infected this game too, and that really stings, even if I'm still having fun. I'm also aware, and worried, of the possibility that once I sink enough time into Infinite, I'll be seeing this game the same way I see something like Black Ops Cold War's multiplayer. I don't want that to be the case. I want to keep having fun with Infinite, but as long as this kind of matchmaking is here, then that will always be a possibility. Luckily for all of us, there is one more major part of Infinite that allows us to be laid back and casual, a mode that allows us to unleash our creativity, to have some goofy fun, and to let us take a break from going absolute tryhard mode. Forge. Forge is another part of Infinite that was a mess at first, as this was not included in the game at launch. Fast forward to late 2022 when the mode is released, or at least the beta of it with the full release happening later on, and people's minds have been running wild since then. If you can imagine it, it's likely that you'll be able to create it in some way, shape, or form in Forge. Want to play on Nuketown? Done. Want to create a whole custom campaign mission complete with enemy AI? Go for it. Walmart? Sure, why not? Five Nights at Freddy's? You bet. Sadly, no animatronics though. Shipment? Here in all its chaotic glory. The Jedi Temple? You got it. D-Day beach landings? That's here too. I am scared. Oh, just a normal map. Good looking too, I have to say. And the best part, you can still earn XP while playing these custom games. Granted, it is a very small amount of XP given how it's distributed so that players can't just cheese the progression system by setting up things like bot farm lobbies for instance, but it's better than nothing. Even if no XP was earned in this mode, at least for me personally, I would still want to play the hell out of it. There are so many awesome and unique custom experiences here that surpassed my expectations of what Forge mode could deliver that those experiences in question would be worth it still. The XP is a nice cherry on top for me. The only thing that I would say about Forge though is that getting people together to play a specific game can be a real pain at times. Yeah, you do have the custom games browser which lists popular custom games going on at any given time, but if you don't see a specific custom game that you want to play, you'll either have to settle with bots or somehow organize a number of people to play with you. Halo Infinite has had a roller coaster ride, to put it politely. Despite its troubled development and roller coaster of a life cycle so far, this game seems to be in a really good spot right now. A decent campaign, even if I didn't cover it in this video, content-filled multiplayer, and an awesome custom games mode as well. Halo Infinite is, for me at least, an awesome game. For those of you interested, the multiplayer, including Forge, is free, so there's nothing to worry about if you want to give this game a try for yourself if you haven't already. I am really happy that I went ahead and started playing this game. Despite the flaws that this game has, I am still able to well and truly enjoy it at the end of the day. It honestly makes me upset that I'm no longer with my Series X now that I've moved back to my apartment since the next semester has started. That's how much I've been enjoying this game. Once again, Halo Infinite has been an absolute blast to play. I'm serious when I say this. If you haven't yet given this game a shot, I would strongly recommend that you do if you have an Xbox and you're a fan of first-person shooters. Fun times await if you decide to give this game a try, I promise.